Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. It is 11:08, April 5th, Easter Sunday here in the States. I don't know if it's a day of any significance outside of, I don't know if Easter's a big thing outside the US. I think it is, at least with all the Catholics. There are still a lot of Catholics around. So that's a good thing. And then, so today is Easter Sunday. So a lot of people going to church today, getting dressed up, all that kind of stuff. So we are working on unit tests, and we're down to just a couple of things. And I know that ChatGPT kind of gave me the name of functions over branches, but I think it's probably better, rolls a little better, and is a little bit more better descriptive and a little bit teaches a little bit better. Let's see, um, functions over flow control. So like, especially in general, it's probably better if you're going to have some complex flow. It's probably better to today in Angular in something that transpiles. It's probably better to have like a function instead of like an if this then that type of thing, but more like, hey, go take care of that, and then within the function it handles any flow control, as opposed to trying to handle flow control in like just as part of like sort of the normal process, like maybe in the constructor or ng on it, like one of the flow control, one of the um, what do they call it? Hooks, life cycle hooks. That it's probably better to just have a function that does that, because it's just like I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on exactly why, but I will say that it's like a lot of weird. Whenever I run across very difficult to understand code, it's usually sort of starts kind of like this, and so this is just like um, in this specific situation, it's kind of for the unit tests themselves, it's very difficult to kind of set up a scenario where you you control like this the variables so that you can tell what's going on. But um and I don't, like I said, I can't quite put my finger on it, but this is sort of the very root cause. And so for me, I'm not I'm definitely not sold on the idea of unit tests. I think unit tests are probably a mistake for the vast majority of projects. But the thing is unit tests are such a great time to carve out to um, like really look at the very lowest levels and try to make sure that you aren't um, make sure that you've thought through everything at the lowest levels. So I think this is our current route service spec. And so basically I want to take this code here and yeah, this code here. And I want to go up to line 65. We're just trying to orientate ourselves because I don't think I'm in the right place. Oh, this is app layout component. Okay, so I guess we took care of that, or is there more? Yeah, we did. We took care of that yesterday. Oh, man, yesterday feels like a month ago. Um, it's just, just had a really good time the last 24 hours. So, it's just like so many good things happen that it's like really hard to, it's hard to like, the time seems like it's a long time ago, which is really neat. But anyways, and then yeah, yesterday was when I redid my office, and I feel like the office has been like this for a while, but it was literally yesterday, and oh man, I love it. I love it so much. Um, can't wait to. I think next year I'll probably end up doing the same thing again, like just come up with improvements that I can think of, and then just be like, okay, See, this one, it was like kind of hard because it wasn't just my wallet, it was also the living room because we swapped out furniture between the two. But anyway, so here we are in app data display, and we have on line 66 and 67, we have two uncovered lines. So I think it would be better and a lot easier to say, see, what does this care about? This cares about, well, it's okay. So I always find, what would we call this? This is set route filter, probably even set route based filter. Does based help? Yes, based. So I wanted to set like the function name to sort of convey that I am responding to the route, not setting the route. Yeah, so update table filter based on route, right? So that tells me that, and I guess we should probably return. What are we doing here? Where are you? This guy right here. I guess we should return the route detail type, probably. Yeah, and actually I want this to be determine, and then we'll return what we want it to be. Return a, does the route filter has to be route detail type? Okay, so we return a route detail type. Is that right? We got to go up here and look. Yeah, so this is a routing detail type. I think we're just going to, I don't think we're going to return possibly an undefined. Maybe, if we have to, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So this returns a route filter detail type, and it accepts a route filter detail type, I believe. And so, because the thing is we're probably going to end up adding more and more logic in the future in this little guy here. And so it's just going to be so freaking tempting when we're under duress, when we're trying to routing layout detail type. Um, when we're trying to, when we're like, oh man, we got some kind of bug and we're trying to figure it out, it's going to be really hard. That's probably when we'll need to add like additional logic in this sort of area, and then turn. Let's see. Let's say this is a let table filter. So by default, the table filter will be blank, which I believe is legal, and then I think is a legal return table filter. Maybe not. I thought that would be this routing layout type. Let's just see if that's the problem. Is no, so that is a legal one, I guess, because we didn't define it as a routing detail type. It's complaining. Oops. There we go. Now it's happy. Even though it's the same value, it just needed us to assure it that we would not change it to some other thing in the middle, I guess. That I feel like all that stuff works a bit inconsistently. So then basically this whole set of code needs to go in here. probably want to take care of our OCD friends and straighten that out. And then I'll set it based on that in here. So it'll either return a blank or the value, but it won't be. So we're saying if it's not equal to blank, then set it to that, which is weird. That's some interesting logic because, okay, so we want this table filter. We didn't even update it. That's some interesting logic because we're saying if it's not equal to blank, then set it, but it's going to be blank. So it looks like that logic is a little screwy. That's what we want to do. But like, what if it was equal to blank? Then we'd still set it, then it's blank. So I don't know why we have this logic here. This seems like, because yeah, yeah, I don't think we want this. Okay, why did we do this though? There had to be a reason. If the routing detail type is not equal to blank. So, okay, so the very first time it's blank, but I believe we default to blank up here too, right? Oh no, it is undefined to start. Okay, so we want to stay undefined because we don't even set it at all. Ugh, 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 ugh. Okay, so yeah, we're saying leave it alone. Actually, this is different. This is saying leave it alone if it's not equal to blank. So basically, we just want to do this exact thing. And I guess this should, instead of being determined, this should be update because we are actually going to update set. We're setting the table, we're setting it. I was hoping, I don't really like to set things inside of functions like this. I don't really, I'm very neutral on it, but I would rather lean towards not doing it. So return, okay, so I'm just going to say was set const was set, and this is equal to false. So we didn't even set it. All we're telling it is if it was set or not. Was set. And that should not be a const, that should be a let. I feel like const and let aren't really good names because const saying, hey, this is a constitutional, I mean, this won't change. This is a constant. This is constitutional. That's so weird. But let means it's a variable that it can be changed. Which like I don't know. Those two words, constant let, don't to me don't go together. But maybe they do. I don't know. Is equal to true. All right. So if it was anything other than a blank, so if we get a blank, don't reset it. Leave it as undefined. Apparently we want it to be undefined. I don't remember why, but you know. And then this needs to go from a routing layout type to a Boolean. And then boom, boom, boom. All right, so that we want to now, instead of this if then, we want to do like this. this dot set based on route. So we're setting the table filter based on the route. And this is route layout detail type. And then we should not need this anymore. Oops, really wanted to. What in the world are you doing? There we go. We want to, I wanted to comment that, not get rid of it. All right. So now we will, and I would be very nervous about this kind of change. I used to be a lot more nervous about these kinds of changes until I started, like end-to-end testing, and now I just know that like it'll pick up any kind of issues. There we go. That looks good. Good in the neighborhood. And then doom, and then boom. We'll get rid of that now. Now, this is so much easier to test, right? Setting, like we can just pass in something that isn't blank, and then we're good. No, I don't think we want this at this point. This probably is not helping. So I don't, and I suspect, okay, so we did not improve. I don't think we improved anything. We have 7 lines of code and 2 branches and 2 functions to test. I think we only had 1 function before. Now we have 2 functions to test. So let's try set table filter based on route. So that's a fun one because it's easy to come up with a name for it. So which is a specification. A specification is some code that's kind of like just describes how something's supposed to work. It's like I guess that's probably the best way. It just describes how something's supposed to work. Filter based on the route. All right. And now we want to, basically all this wants is a routing type, right? That's all it wants is a routing detail type. So const routing detail. I guess we'll call it a layout detail type because I think that's what it actually is. Routing. And this is equal to, and it doesn't even matter, just can't be one of the entities. There we go. And then let result equals routing. What is this thing called? This thing's probably called, oh, it's a component. We're in a component? Oh. And this feels like this should be service logic, but maybe not because it's inside the effect. I don't know. It's like I almost think that, and this is just a crazy thought that I haven't processed at all, but like maybe if you're using effects, every component should have its own effects service, where anything that happens inside of an effect is built out in the service that would kind of force you to, uh, or really encourage you to segregate the code in a very useful way. Okay, component dot set table filter, and then routing. And let's see what hop on. So it definitely is not picking up the change. I never can figure out when this thing decides it'll pick up the change and when it decides it won't. There we go. Now, okay, so here we want to apply the filter when it's entities, and then, yeah. So then we'll figure out what this one wants to do after that. This one, oh, this is another one where we need to break it out probably into its own function. And I will say that that is like just a trivia at this stage, breaking this out into its own function is trivial. It won't be that hard to do, but it will get very difficult to do. Now, maintenance on this might be hard because this thing might at some point need like additional information or something, and we'll have to sort of back into that, and that can be really tricky. Um, but for now, we'll keep this nice and divided out. All right, so let's try. How long is this video? 20 minutes? That's probably a good amount of time. All right, so tomorrow we'll work on this one, and then we'll work on this one the day after. Well, probably, yeah, then yeah, this one will probably take another whole day, and then this one will take a day, and then I believe what we want is then I'm going to want to actually get my end-to-end tests working so that because basically this is deleting. Let's just do this. So like when we add one of these things and then we come over here and basically I think probably most of this work is around deleting meshes, if I remember correctly. So I believe we can delete a mesh now, which we could not. So we would delete it and our mesh would still exist, our mesh object, which is a serious, I mean, generally it's going to be a very serious memory leak. Not as bad as it used to be. Like we used to actually have an actual reference to the mesh animation in ThreeJS, which is a much heavier object. And so we don't have that. So it's not like I think this used to actually be instead of a material ID and a geometry ID, it was actually um, it was actually a geometry and a material. Um, so that is like the next step. So I believe we're still good though. Like so if we go here and we hit delete and then we hit back, oh no, we still have our oh, it's our scene that went away. Yeah, and then we're gonna have to work through our meshes and our geometries and materials and finally animations, which I believe this task was to update the animations, to delete the animations when you delete something. But like it really should have been delete the scene and then if I wanted to do a smaller thing, because I really need to delete like from the top down. Like the top knows what its children are, so it can delete it. So anyways, that's what we're kind of thinking through, what I'm trying to work through right now. I did want to mention, I forgot to mention, yeah, so Rhett did not want to come out of her cage today to come do a video today. I suspect she'll change her mind in the future. She'll start wanting, it's not like it's the first time she didn't want to come do video today, but she doesn't like change. And so every once in a while she will get triggered. I know that we used to have a store that we used to bring her to, like a public store and a store, a different business, maybe 8 or 9 stores away, started on fire. And so we had to clear out for the fire. And so we were all, we all just shut down the store and took the rest of the day off while the fire department did their thing. And then she wouldn't, she never was willing to come back for years. Like we had that business for a couple of years and she would not come back. Um, so, um, so she's, sometimes she'll get in her head. She doesn't want to do things. So we'll see. Always happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.